Hey guys, it's me Tyler, and 5 days ago I made a video of the top 5 best weapons in Bloodborne. So now I want to make a top 10 instead. It will include 5 more weapons, and the last 5 I'm pretty sure are going to be the same weapons that were from the other video. And remember, this is my opinion. Number 10, Burial Blade. I just found this weapon pretty terrible on the list. I know it's a pretty good weapon, and you do get it at the end of the game by killing Berman, the first hunter. But that doesn't matter because you actually get 80 physical and 20 arcane when it's not reinforced, and then a good 128 physical and 48 arcane when it's +6. So we'll do pretty good for being a dexterity weapon as well. But you can put blood gems on it that'll give it an A scaling in dexterity as well. So you won't have to worry about that. And it also turns into a scythe as well. So that's pretty cool. And I mean, the L2 is kind of like the church pick. It will do a little bit of stagger damage. Not pretty much all the way. But it will do more damage than church, but unfortunately you have to get it at the end of the game. There's nothing much to say about this weapon since you only get it at the end of the game. But at least the scythe, it doesn't require that much stats, and it already gets a good scaling in arcane or dexterity. Number 90, Beast Claws. I know, putting this weapon on the list, and I'm going to go over why this weapon only in this place. Just get some of the fast resets. And Beast attack builds up, so you will be able to deal more damage to beasts. That's pretty cool, but unfortunately it only gets 75 physical when it's not reinforced, which is the most terrible damage in the game, which is even less than the dreaded cane. And you will have to get out of a Chalice dungeon, which, if you're like me, I don't like the Chalice dungeons as much as the real base game. It's the fact that Sony made this game, but the L2 is really worth it. But the look is pretty weird, and I mean, it does look like a claw, but the hand is pretty cool, and it does get a passive C scaling in strength, and it was one of my favorite weapons until I switched to War Gig Sock. I'll get to that weapon later. But anyways, Beast Claw is definitely moving off this list. It's definitely one of the better weapons than all the others. Especially any of the church weapons, but that is why it only lands in 9th place. Short range and low damage. Number 8, the Vachio. Get some of the slowest movesets. I mean, it doesn't get as much damage when it's not reinforced, but when you get up to +10, you start to get some faster movesets. And the transformation, you get to dual wield, just like the Blades of Mercy, but it's even better than the Blades of Mercy. But even though it's a Vile Blood weapon, it still doesn't even need Blood Tinge, and instead forces the player to put 20 points into dexterity to wield this, and it gets an A scaling in dexterity as well. So there's nothing bad about this weapon, instead it's a really good weapon. There's another Vile Blood weapon that's better than this, and it actually deals blood damage. But there's still some other weapons, and they'll get more damage than the Vachuyo, which is why it only lands in 8th place. Next up in number 7, I have the Chikage. This is such an OP weapon. It'd be like either the S tier or the broken tier if I made a tier list. But still one of the better sided weapons. Because when you transform it, you get this blood blade that's just like Corpse Piler and Elden Ring. That'll give you a lot more range. Well, not really that much range, but it will give you a lot of damage. But unfortunately, it will drain your health. But it does get a lot of damage. So starting physical of 92, and then 92 blood damage, which is good for any weapon in the game. But you will have to get to Canehurst Castle and kill Lagarius to get this weapon, which is pretty far in the game. And the durability is only at 120, so you'll have to repair this more often if you're using this a lot. But otherwise, you could use weapons like the Beast Cutter or even the Boom Hammer. or the boom hammer doesn't have that much durability. So some things like the workshop weapons, the better workshop weapons with durability will be better. But the Rider Palast works like a gun, but Jikage still gets blood damage, and it gets an S scaling and blood tinge when it's maxed out. So that's pretty nice. That it's gonna get some really high damage, but it's not going to be the highest damage in the game. The Holy Moonlight Sword does that. But anyways, I'm just gonna put the Jikage in 7th place on this list because of how good it is. Number 6, the Hunter Axe. This is a good weapon that you can get at the beginning of the game at Central Yarnum, or at the Dream if you chose to get the Hunter Axe from the messengers. And its transformation will let you spread out the axe like a halberd, and it gets ridiculous range, but probably not the most range out of any weapon, since it would probably be the Beast Cutter that get the most range. But anyways, the Hunter Axe still gets a lot of range since you turn it into a halberd for its transformation, and the damage is really nice when it's transformed. You can pair it up with the Sicario rune that'll boost transformation damage, so you get even more sick damage. The L2 is also nice as well. It'll let you swing the halberd with more range instead of its regular R1. And it's actually pretty nice that you can. But the third attack for the R1 will actually get a poke attack. It's actually pretty good because some of the weapons' poke attacks are just the best in the game. Blunt is cool, but I think the Hunter Axe might have better poking and it gets better damage as well. So that's why the Hunter Axe is on the list. The better one, but it's not going to be in the top 5. Number 5, the Church Pick. I'm gonna put it higher on the list, but there's a bunch of other weapons that are just tends to be better than the Church Pick. But it is still a pretty good weapon, and the transformation is just like the Hunter Axe, where you get to extend it into a polearm. But instead, it's even better because the L2 does pure stagger damage, so be able to stagger even the biggest of enemies. While the Church Pick is pretty good for any weapon in the game, you get it in the DLC, which you can get the DLC pretty early on in the game, and it's non-transformed attacks will actually get you pokes as well, and some nice slashes that are pretty fast for a dexterity weapon. Oh yeah, it is a dexterity weapon, and also it doesn't get good strength scaling because it's just a dexterity weapon, and I just said that. It's not a strength weapon, even though the Hunter Axe needs the same amount of strength. Hunter Axe still gets more strength scaling, even though it needs the same strength. But that doesn't matter. We already talked about that weapon, and now the Church Pick is even better, which is why Church Pick lands in 5th place. That is why it made it onto the list. Now for the other 4. Excuse me? Number 4, I got Ludwig's Holy Blade. Not that much to say about this weapon. I just went over all the stuff in the other video, but just because it's a Holy Blade doesn't mean it's going to do arcane damage. Because it does get 100 physical, which isn't like the Kirk Hammer. But this weapon is just even better because all of its strong attacks get poke attacks, except for its L2s. It gets nice downward slams, which is pretty good. It does a bunch of stunning damage. It's definitely one of them. It is going to be kind of a strength weapon, but it's really going to be an arcane weapon instead. Just like the Holy Moonlight Sword. But it could be both strength and arcane, depending on how you use it. And out of all of that, there's nothing much to say since it's the most popular weapon in the game that most players use, and there's nothing bad to say about it. So, Ludwig's Holy Blade definitely makes it onto the list. Number 3, the Saw Cleaver. There's also 2 more weapons like this. They're going to be the Saw Spear and the Beast Hunter Scythe. The Saw Spear is what I found the best. Until I got the Beast Hunter Scythe, because Saw Spear gets that poke attack, which is really nice on its 2-handed transformation, but I found that the Beast Hunter Scythe just takes over all of them. Like, Look at this weapon. This gets so much good damage for a dexterity weapon. I mean, not that good. I mean, it's not going to get the most damage out of a dexterity weapon. It doesn't get any of the other damage like blood, arcane, fire, bolt. But anyways, it's still going to be one of the better choices. Especially because it's R1, so lets you dash up to the enemy, so you won't have to go up out there and have to be worried about getting attacked, so you can quickly dodge back. So you don't have to worry about all that. I find this better than the saw weapons, but it depends on you as the player and what you're using. The saw weapons have a little bit more speed than the Beast Hunter's Scythe, but the Beast Hunter's Scythe definitely takes it for me because you get that dash for its first R1 when it's transformed. It doesn't dash you that far, but you still don't have to worry about getting hit. But anyways, those weapons are definitely on the list, but there's a reason why it's in third place, because there's a bunch of other weapons that are better than it. So let's get into those weapons. So the last two weapons put me in a brief argument for which one was going to be the best. And here's what I found. And if you disagree with me, let me know in the comments. And always remember, like at the beginning, this is just my opinion. Number 2, the Warlick Saw. Just like I said earlier, I was worried about to put this one in first place before this other weapon took over. And you probably know what it is because you might have watched that other video. But the Warlick Saw does get some cool attacks and gets good strength and arcane scaling. They can be both, just like Ludwig's Holy Blade, but I prefer it to be more of a strength weapon instead, since it's that S scaling and strength. In fact, you can just go too and just cheese all the enemies and bosses. It's not going to do that much good stunning damage, so rather you just do R1 or R2 attacks. But when it's Saw, it's even better. The mace is cool, it's a little bit faster, but I prefer the Saw better. But if either one you use, so it's not going to be as bad. But it depends on what you use. Either the mace or the saw, both are just going to be amazing options. Since this is one of the broken weapons in the game, so there's nothing bad to say. It's just the best weapon in the game. Not in first place though. Finally, at number 1, probably the best weapon, the Holy Moonlight Sword. This gets ridiculous damage. You get it after Ludwig as well, and it gets some high damages, like 80 physical and 40 or 50 arcane when it's not reinforced when you first get it. But it's R2 and L2 when it's the Moonlight Sword. Uses the bullet. The R2 is a projectile, while the L2 is this poke that'll do a lot of damage. But when it's not transformed, it's a little bit good, but it's still a great sword. It gets as much speed as a DS1 great sword as well. So it's not going to be that bad, because it just gets as much speed as those DS1 great swords. But when you transform it, it still gets the same speed. But it's just got some better attacks. But you don't get to use a left-hand weapon. But that's fine, because I don't really parry that much in this game. Instead, use stuff like the Gatling gun and cannon. But Holy Moonlight Sword is definitely one of them that'll take over. So, those were the weapons that I had to argue with for being first and second place, and I just thought the Holy Moonlight Sword would be the best weapon in the game. Anyways, if you liked that video, please like and subscribe for more Bloodborne.